Hey there, welcome back. I was perusing Etsy the other day, looking for a little bit of inspiration. I came across a cigar and whiskey tray. They were charging some pretty outrageous prices on something that seemed relatively easy. I wanted to see if I could come up with a design of my own. The idea of a cigar and whiskey sounds pretty damn good. I decided I'd make one for a buddy of mine who recently bought a humidor that I had made. I'm going to give it to him just as a way to say thank you for the support. Anyway, let's get into this. Got this big chunk of 8/4 white oak here, which will be used for the project. Now I could just mill this down and proceed from there, but instead I'm going to make the project end grain. I just think white oak looks super cool when it's on its end. So I'm going to get this over the joiner now. This process is the exact same as if I was making an end grain cutting board. I want this to be primarily white oak, obviously, but I am going to add a strip of this black limba here. The end grain on this looks super cool. I think it'll just add some visual appeal. All right, now I'm going to get this thing glued up. This will be the first of at least a few glue ups. All right, I'm going to let this go for about an hour, come back and clean it up, and then cut it back up and glue it back up. All right, I'm going to get this out of the clamps. Send it through the jointer to clean it up. I left these strips a little long on each side to try and help combat the snipe that is very prevalent on that planer. At this point though, I think I can cut them off. So I'm going to square this up. I'm gonna get this glued up again. All right, I'll let this go for 1 hour. Come back and cut it up and glue it up for the final time. All right, it's been just over an hour. Get this out, send it through the planer, get it nice and flat. One final glue up. Back at the table saw here, we're gonna cut this into strips and turn them on their end, glue them back together. First I have to set the width of the cut. I'm gonna do just over 2 inches, say 2 1/8. All right, I'm going to let this one set up a little bit longer than an hour for sure, and we'll get back to shaping it. Going to get this out of the clamps again. Because this is end grain, I can't send it through the planer, which would obviously be a lot easier. It could explode, or the planer itself could explode.
So I am going to joint one edge so it's flat, get it over to the CNC, do a flattening pass on the top and the bottom. All right, I've got this set up on the CNC, ready to do a flattening pass. Now, some of you keen observers may have noticed a new addition to the shop here. Actually, not talking about Joe Flacco, talking about this. This is the Onefinity Elite, and I think I love it. Huge upgrade over my last machine. Okay, now that I've got this flat on both sides, I'm going to take it over to the joiner, joint one edge, square everything up, bring it back over here, and we get to the fun stuff. All right, this is going to be the first of probably a few tool paths here. It's going to clear out a bunch of material, as well as cut a pocket for a slate coaster that I'm going to be putting in here. Let's go ahead and get this going. This thing's looking pretty sweet so far. Now I'm going to create a pocket down here for the metal insert for the ashtray. Now the final cutout. With this being 2 inches thick and this bit being just barely over 2 inches, it could go catastrophically wrong in several different ways. I'm praying it stays put.
I shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves! Shh.
Well, even though I suck on the bandsaw, I'm going to try and finish this cut with the bandsaw, and I can clean it up with the flush trim router bit. Hopefully this 1/4 inch gap here left by the bit will give me enough space to stay within the lines. Got a bit of a design flaw here. I could probably fix that up with something though. Cross that bridge when I come to it, I guess. All right, I'm over at the router table. I have a flush trim bit set up in here. I've had this bit for a while, but never used it. As you can see here, I've got a lot of cleanup to do, and I think this bit should do a good job with it. Let's find out. Well, I'm over here and the table's already a mess. I might as well round over this bottom corner before I get to sanding. Oak is pretty open grain, especially when it's in the end grain configuration like it is here. So I've got some chip out pretty much all around here. This part here is going to be a problem, but I think the rest will sand right out. I already know freehanding this is a bad idea, but I really don't see an alternative to getting rid of these things. I screwed that up in the design process. There's really nothing I can do at this point. So I'm going to try and freehand it with the router here. Hope for the best. Dang, I think I might have pulled it off. Got some Starbond CA glue here. I'm going to fill some of these holes before I sand everything. Not even sure where to start with this thing. Guess I'll start on the bottom and work the edges. I'm going to start with 60 grit, work my way up to probably 600. Now that I'm finally done sanding, I've got the coaster in the laser here, ready to go.
It's a sophisticated heat beam, which we called a laser.
Now I'm going to hit the bottom of the personal message for my buddy. Oak does not laser particularly well, but we're going to give it a go. I've got these tiny little rubber feet I'm going to put on here just to keep it off of a wet surface or whatever. I've got a positioning jig for these two corners. I'm not real sure where I'm going to put the other two, but I'll figure that out as I go along.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Positioning jig doesn't do much good when you still drill the hole in the wrong spot.
Ugh. Idiot.
The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
Hopefully he won't notice that. Sorry, Doug. Now for the best part. I think that turned out pretty good. Gotta give that a bit to soak in, and that'll wrap it up.